Okay, thanks for the time and opportunity given to me. Before I introducing myself, my full name is Maria Krisnawati Elu. I'm from class 11, Social 3. I will present my scientific article by the influence of cell phones for class Social 11 3 students at SMS Katolik Regina Pacis Bajawa. Abstract. The rapid development of information technology, the more sophisticated phones like today have given birth to various types of information and modern applications, thus providing many convenience for the public in accessing information and making it easier to communicate. Besides the benefit and sophistication of mobile phones, of course, it cannot be separated from the positive and negative impacts of these users. At SMS Katolik Regina Pacis Bajawa, many people currently use cell phones. The positive impacts of cell phones for students, namely reducing communication, increasing knowledge about technological developments, expanding friendship network, and as an online learning medium during the current corona pandemic. While the negative impact including disturbing development with the sophisticated features available on cell phones such as cameras, games will disrupt students in receiving lessons at schools. Not infrequently, they are presupposed with the chat, video calls, SMS, receiving calls from family, friends, and girlfriends. Therefore, this scientific paper refers to the positive and negative impacts of using cell phones and adults can behavior that involves learning. The question of the formulation of the problem of the research is to see what is the role of mobile phones in the life of adults can along with the development of technology and communication. What are the positive and negative impacts of using cell phones on students? How do I stop playing on the cell phones? What are the actions taken by teenagers to avoid deleting cell phones? What is the definition of a cell phone? The research, the research method used the flat method in the study. Freeled interviews were used, non-participants observation, and the analysis technology used, and qualitative analysis method. The word key, mobile party impacts, negative impacts, radiation effect. Next, introducing one background. In this modern and sophisticated era, people are very familiar with cell phones, perhaps even desperately needing cell phones. Both people in cities and villages, even a lot of little kids who already have cell phones, as well as among teenagers, they will find it easier to communicate with their parents and with their friends. Basically, cell phones have various functions that are closely related to adult scan, whereas what and how the cell phones it used depends on the person using the cell phone for the desired result. For people who use cell phones, the use of cell phones is because usually the ones who control are the teenagers themselves. Mobile phones in general era a means of communication between fellow humans and facilitate communication with other people. The cell phones have absorbed, absorbed, have absorbed and filtered human sound, vibration, and visible images in them. Besides that, it also has saved some important things such as someone's phone number and SMS, so that the cell phone or it has been needed to communication with other people. Thus, the cell phones can help someone to needs. Among others, cell phones also need the result of relationship with other people, namely the emergence for familiarity and brotherhood. Cell phones are a window to solve problems faced by teenagers. Cell phones are also a source of information, orders, and relationship between people. However, not a few teenagers who abuse the use of cell phones. In this era of globalization, it is closely related to internet, especially now that almost all cell phones have internet features. Internet is very useful if used properly and for positive things. However, many Regina Pacis Bajawa Catholic High School students misuse the function of internet. They use to the internet for online games, access on social media, open unsuitable sites, and so on. That makes them feel at home for a long time, struggling with their cell phones, so they always carry them wherever they go, even they can check their cell phones many times a day. Besides, there are lots of negative effects from cell phones, like making them lazy because they are too busy with their cell phones, and also harmful cell phones radiation. If allowed to continue, this will have a bad impact. Okay, next discussing the presence of cell phone has changed human life. Distance has been accused of being the culprit of the difficulty. No longer has the power to prevent it. Most of today's teenagers feel that they are very dependent on cell phones. According to him, the presence of cell phones really helps easy life, he said. Communication, the goal of making life easier, was also the forced him to decide to use a cell phones several years ago. The reason was the he called communication. Asimov students say the main purpose of using cell phones was as a means of communication and as a link for information from the homeroom teacher if they did not have time convey information directly to students as entertainment. It is undeniable for those who live in a hermitage in a modern world that demands everything to be fast and easy. Having a cell phone is like a necessity. This gave certainly a great opportunity for communication companies to reap profits. They are competing to develop existing technology in order to produce new products that with that will fill the market. Through innovation, They force urban people to increase their daily needs. Technological development is certainly not possible to reach the word perfect in the true sense. Therefore, not a single technology developed has reached the final. Subsequent innovation and innovation keep abreast of existing achievements. The process has continued, following human desires, passions, and needs. One thing that cannot be avoided is the technology must have side effects that affect human life. No matter how small, technology must have a corrosive nature that makes humans depend on it. Okay, next definition of mobile. Is that a cell phone? Cell phone or mobile is an electronic telecommunication device which has the same basic capabilities as a fixed line telephone so that it is conventional but can be carried anywhere or portable and does not need to be connected to the telephone network using a cable. Next, the role of mobile phone in youth life. Of course, this technological advancement has caused enormous change in the life of mankind with all its civilization and cultures, especially against teenagers. This change also has a huge impact on the values that exist in cities, society, especially in societies with Eastern culture and custom like Indonesia. Currently, in Indonesia, we can see the great influence of technology progress on culture values adopted by society, but urban and rural communities or modernization. Even the internet have not only hit urban communities but have also been enjoyed by people in remote villages. As a result, all information, both positive and negative values, can be easily accessed by teenagers. Today, we can see how technological advances have influenced lifestyles and, and patterns. They interact a lot with technology such as television, rail, cell phones, or the internet. And also in terms in influence, they are the most vulnerable to being affected or negative impact by the technology. Actually, cell phones are very important food for teenagers because with their cell phones, teenagers can communicate easily and smoothly. But it turns out the cell phones can be a dangerous item when it turns out that the cell phones is being misused by children for negative things such as storing pornographic photos or video and also as a tool the facilitates communication with the opposite sex form things that are less useful such as dating so that the cell phone has a negative impact on children, especially adults can, such as the occurrence of promiscuity, sex outside or marriage, and distress learn achievement. It can also happen the children take money or valuable belonging to their parents without permission, just to buy credit. In essence, technological advances and their influence in life are things that cannot be avoided. However, we can take wise action towards ourselves, our families, and the wider community to the this interestingly powerful technological advance to do not save our identity as human beings with harms. However, as members of society and especially as parents, we must make a selection of technological advance so that as much as possible we can prevent the negative influence of technology on children, especially adolescents who are the golden generation who will continue our struggle to form a civilized and cultural nation in the future come. Next, positive and negative impacts of mobile use on adults can. The very rapid advancement of cell phone technology has positive and negative impacts on the user, especially teenagers. One, positive impacts make communication easier, increase knowledge about meaning technology, expand the network of friendship, and online learning media. Next, negative impacts disrupting development with the sophisticated features available on cell phones such as camera, games will interfere with teenagers in receiving lessons at school. Not infrequently, that are preoccupied the receiving calls, texts, messages from the friends, and even from their own families. Even worse, there are those who use their cell phones to chat in action, playing games while the teacher explain lesson. If this is allowed, then the expected generation will become safe to technology. Next, radiation effect. In addition to various conversations around the negative impacts of its use, the use of cell phones is also bad for health. It is better for teenagers to be more careful and prudent if using of closing cell phones, especially no routes for you students. If it is not really necessary, children should not be given the opportunity to use cell phones permanently. Here is effect of cell phone radiation. 1. Hits the brain on skin. In addition, cell phones can hit the brain so that it interferes with the function. 2. Risks of sensor. And 3. Damage to the body's defense system. Next, increased blood pressure, headaches, dizziness, and loss of concentration. Prone to crime. Remember, teenagers and students are one the main target in crime. Has the potential to influence the attitudes and behavior of adolescents. If images they contain pornographic elements such as that are not worthy of being seen by a student, there is no control from parents. Cell phones can be used to distribute images. Next was the By having a cell phone, expenses we interested such as buying a that big page cake. Okay, next, how to stop playing on your cell phone. Nowadays, it is very easy to find people who are enslaved to the cell phones under them. Much of the time must be spent communicating with these multifunction sophisticated tools. As a result, many important activities are overlooked due to action and this tiny and sophisticated object. Realize that you only live for a moment. Use the time without a cell phone first. The following are some the tips on how to break a cool habit with a cell phone. 1. Use, use as needed. 2. Limit communication with other people. 3. Use old school cell phone. 4. Just enter a little credit. 5. Temporarily save your cell phone. 6. Think about the following points to yourself. If you match your credit is saved, what do you want to buy? Next, too much gossip and talking about the person's sign. Next, worship of God is more important than everything. And did you enslave your cell phone or have you enslaved to cell phone? Okay, next, adults can action to avoid misuses of cell phone. The following are some actions that can prevent misuse of cell phone. 1. Refusing invitation from friends to see things related to pornography on porn action. 2. Do not bring your cell phone to school or turn off your cell phone during lesson so as not to interfere with learning concentration. 3. When you are at home, you should make the best possible time between studying and using your cell phone. 4. Learn you best so as not to use the cell phone during the exams. 5. Avoiding accessing porn sites and downloading pornographic content from handphone. 6. Use a handphone if if necessary and for things that are important only. 7. Interest religious content or cell phones. 8. Provide a security code on the cell phones if needed. In this case, parental supervision is also very important given the large number of juvenile delinquency that parents don't pay attention to. Okay, finally, a closing. 1. Consultation. Often cell phones divert the activities of a student who should study as the main task. It can be concluded that the use of cell phones can have an impact on health. The function of the cell phones is not used properly but is instead being misused by various parties. Next, suggestion. 1. Use handphone only as needed. If it's not important, it's better not to use a cell phone because it will interfere with learning activities. 2. The use of cell phone among students must be able to adjust the time between studying and playing cell phone. Besides that, don't use your cell phones too often because it can be bad for health. 3. It takes the role of students and parents in overcoming the negative effects of using cell phone. Okay, that's all. Thank you, intelligent.